Ron Terrell from Fox 23 in Tulsa.
Hey Ron, what's up?
Hey Ron, how are you,
What's
buddy?
going on?
I just saw you at
Good.
the Broncho show.
Ron show, yeah. Good show. They always put on
Yeah,
a good
you
show.
did.
Um, Very, very cool. Thanks for the time, guys. Really appreciate it. I'm going to start with Sterling. Actually, we'll start with both of you. Sterling, the idea for this show, kind of take us through when this was born, where it was born, and Ethan, when you kind of jumped on board, if you could kind of detail that for us a little bit.
Yeah, well, the original inspiration for the character Lee was Leroy Chapman, and it was after he passed away. I was writing it as a feature. Um, I decided, it was kind of too soon, and I was inspired by the work that we had done at This Land Press, and I just put it away. And then later, years later, I made Reservation Dogs and wanted to make an hour, and I wanted to make a crime show, and I thought, maybe I'll pull that old script out that I began and just see if I can make it a pilot. And that's truly what I did. And, at that point, I'd been working with and known Ethan. And so it was always in my head kind of that Ethan could play this character. And then I even did before I sent it to him, I sent it to him under the guise of, I just want you to give me notes on my script. But I had done sort of this, like, after kind of getting to know him, made sure I was writing it, I felt in ways that, kind of fit Ethan. And I sent it to him, and he was basically like, great script. Uh, like,
Why are you not offering me this part?
yeah, yeah.
And Stone was like, I am.
I
I'm
am
like, wait,
offering it
you
to
are?
you. Yeah,
I
yeah,
said, yeah, sure.
yeah.
It's like-
I didn't want notes. I wanted to offer him the part. And then once he came on board, it was kind of, we were off to the races on it. And but truly it was about kind of, when I was at This Land in general, it was about telling, we started making videos that I think were all kinds of documentaries and writing stories and all of this stuff, audio documentaries that we did. And it was all to sort of tell the narrative of Tulsa, the darkness and the light. And I saw that give, I saw that Tulsa's identity sort of started coming together, and, people were drawn to that honesty. Um, and then This Land ended, and but it's kind of like the show is inspired by that period of time in my life, even from, I was raising a daughter at that time, and I still have a daughter, but like she was, at that time she was a young teenager, and it was kind of balancing my life as trying to be an independent filmmaker, working for This Land Press, and also raising,
and
co-parenting
not making any
a
money.
kid and not making any money. And how is that going to affect my life and hurt my kids in the future, and et cetera. That's, stir all that into a pot, and that's what you get, the lowdown.
Ethan, Lee Raybon is a pretty interesting guy. Kind of a train wreck at times, intelligent. He's trying to be a good father. How much of a challenge and a joy was it to play this character?
Well, I see my whole job as kind of in relationship to to my director. You know that when it works best, you kind of become an extension of their imagination. You're making the same show, and I knew as Sterling said, we've been friends for years, and I watched Reservation Dogs as it unfolded, and I watched the way he worked and the way he created. So when he came to me with this idea, I'd never been involved in television really at all, and I'd never taken a job where I hadn't read the script beforehand. I'd done plays and movies. That was my life. You know exactly the part you're taking. And I knew I jumped off a cliff with Stone that we were going to create this character together. And he had the world, he had the spirit, he had something he wanted to make, and I knew I could help him do it. And it was just, I just can't imagine anything being more fun. Everything that Lee touches is stuff we understand and think about all the time. And it's done with humor and love, uh, and set in a crime genre. So it's just fun.
Absolutely is. It's a fun ride. Sterling, what's it like to be able to continue to make art like this in Tulsa, to be able to do it at home?
It's I mean, Robert Redford's been on our mind, obviously for the last couple of days, but you know, I really was blessed by going through the Sundance Labs. they supported me, and they made me feel important, and that I had something to say. And they also encouraged me to stay in Oklahoma and do what I wanted to do and tell stories that about this place that was important to me. Um, I remember telling Michelle Satter one day, I said, I might be moving to LA. And she's like, don't do that. Like, just
Hmm.
make your films there. And at the time and years after, I was like, man, like, was that the right thing to do? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. Like, I could be making a lot of money and working somewhere if I would have moved. But then what happened was I brought this industry to me, and I was able to tell stories in my backyard about the places that I wanted to tell stories about. Um, and I wouldn't trade that for anything now. Like, it's such a blessing and maybe rare to be able to do that. But like I, I don't know, like it's one of the if that's all I do, this is amazing. It's been an amazing ride, and I think that like this is what I wanted to do. I was inspired by Richard Linklater and Robert Rodriguez and these people that were outside of the, sort of system, and they were bringing the industry to them where they are at. And obviously, Ethan knows a lot about that because he's worked with Linklater. He's done it himself. And I think that it's been a blessing just to be able to do it at home.
And then for me,
Fantastic.
I come aboard and you're joining something that has roots.
Mhm.
I mean, it's overused expression maybe, but you just get so much strength when you're connected to your roots. And when there's friendships, there's a creative identity. And it's the first thing they do in writing class, is write what you know.
Yeah.
Sterling knows a lot about the city. He knows a lot about these people. He knows who lives here. He doesn't need to be taught. He doesn't need to do research. His life has been, and so you're creating from a place of knowledge, where you actually have a lot to offer. And it was so much fun to do that with him because the well is so deep.
Guys, it was a fun ride to watch. I've only been able to watch the first 5 episodes, and they're fantastic. Thank you guys so much,
Thanks,
and
man.
I'll see you at Tulsa Town 2 Step.
Yeah. See you,
Okay,
man.
great.
Take care.